Hey guys, today we're gonna do a tutorial on a simple HelloWorld app using SwiftUI. SwiftUI was introduced in WWDC in 2019, and we'll go over some pros and cons of using SwiftUI, and we'll get into the tutorial. So some of the pros are using SwiftUI is easier for UI designs without having to choose between using zips, nibs, storyboard, like programmatic layout, auto layout, using frames, so there's multiple ways to do auto layouts, and maybe developers have different preferences. So SwiftUI unifies that, and also helps in the case of if you have like merge conflicts. So if you have multiple developers working on one storyboard, and you both of the developers make changes to the storyboard, and when it comes time to merge the branches, the storyboard's going to have a lot of merge conflicts, and sometimes it's very difficult to resolve unless you go into the XML. So SwiftUI solves that problem. And also SwiftUI uses Swift, so if you're already familiar with Swift, you have a head start. And with SwiftUI, you get live preview. So as you're working on your screen, the update of the canvas also shows right away on the side. So that way, you don't have to like compile the app, wait for a really long time, see how your changes are. So as you make your changes, you can see your preview right away. And if you're new to iOS development, using SwiftUI is very intuitive. Like if you have no prior knowledge of like Objective-C or Swift, SwiftUI is going to be pretty easy to pick up. Some of the cons for using SwiftUI is it will only work with iOS 13 or higher, since it's relatively new, and some trivial stuff that you can do easily on UIKit, it might not be as trivial on SwiftUI. And another con is some of the more complex tasks that you're looking to do. It doesn't have like good examples yet on the internet. So like if you're looking to do something more complex and you're trying to find some examples, since the framework is relatively new, you might not be able to find it on like Google or Stack Overflow. So those are some of the cons. But since SwiftUI is pretty new, I think it's gonna pick up momentum just like Apple did with Swift, and it's probably gonna have a good trajectory as far as the development of the framework goes. So I think as time progresses, SwiftUI is gonna get more cleaner, easier to use. So it's a good time to learn SwiftUI and get started early on learning the framework. All right, let's get started with the tutorial. Alright guys, let's get started with this tutorial. So first, we're gonna create a new application. We're just gonna call this Swift HelloWorld SwiftUI. Alright, let's name it HelloWorld SwiftUI. For interface, it's gonna be SwiftUI, and for life cycle, it's gonna be SwiftUI app. We're gonna create our project. And alright, so with this, just hit resume, and then it's gonna build our live preview so we can see what's going on. So as it's building, we can kind of talk about the template that building a SwiftUI application gives us. So it's giving us a HelloWorld SwiftUI app, which is which basically has a body computable variable that returns some sort of scene, and this window group will return the scene, and the content view is basically telling the app which view do you want our app to start in. So in the content view, this is the content view, which is the view that we're gonna start the application with. So it gives you a body that returns some sort of view, and this text is satisfy that view. So in SwiftUI, a view is a protocol that has that you basically have to implement this one variable, one computable computable variable called body that's going to return some view. So it returns that text. So just fix the spacing. So here you can see the hello world is reflected onto the preview. So if you add two actually it kind of stopped for a second. So if you add the two exclamation points, it's gonna show this in the preview. And if you add some other symbol, it also shows this in the live preview, which is nice. It saves a lot of time for you to compile the app. So let's run the app and see that this is working as expected. So when we launch the app, it's going to show whatever is shown here on the preview. So we're building the app, we're running the app, so now it shows hello world with our symbols that we've added. So that's a little basic. So we're gonna add a few extra things in order to make this tutorial a little more interesting. So we're gonna add, let's say we're gonna add an image and some text. So go to the assets folder. I have already downloaded an image, so we're just gonna drag this image in. I'm just gonna rename this image to cat. Alright, so let's go back to our content view. Let's say we want to add an image to here. Image, we're just gonna call our image cat, and then just gonna save it, resume our live preview, and then let's see what happens. So now so far we have two elements in the body, a text and an image. So here's our text that we have, hello world, and image cat. Let's see if it has some, can we actually do that? Try again. Preview. Okay, so now it's showing our cat image that we've downloaded, but it's kind of showing it on two separate views or two separate previews. So we're gonna see what's going on. So let's run the app so we can see this on the simulator. So when we run it, we're gonna see the text and the image, but because these are like two separate views that are kind of on top of each other. So let's say we wanna so there's a couple stacks I kind of want to go over. Let's do this thing called ZStack. ZStack basically allows you to put objects on top of another. So there's three types of stacks in SwiftUI. There's a HStack, which kind of lets you put things next to each other. There's the VStack, which is a vertical stacks that allows you to put things on top of each other, one right on top of each other. And there's the one called ZStack, which if you think of math, there's the vertical, the horizontal, and Z is the depth. So you can put one thing to put on top of the other. So if we just do a ZStack, we do a ZStack here, and then let's move our text and image on here. So we'll do image first, and then our text will sit on top of the image. So now that we have a ZStack and we have image inside of the ZStack and the text inside, I'd imagine the image being in the back and the text sitting on top of the image. So let's save it and resume our live preview. Alright. So here's the text and here's the image. So that let's say we do, okay, so the text is not that transparent or not that clear based on here. So we can actually modify this text like this. So let's say you want to modify the color. You can say text.padding. It already gave us some paddings here. As you can see, the paddings are added. So foreground color, let's make it like white. So when we save it, we see the live. It's generating the live preview, which is white, which is still not that great. So you can do background, You can have a background color. Let's say we just do background is blue. So we save it, and then our text background is now blue. Alright, so that's the text that we have, and then we have the cat. And our cat image, it doesn't fill up the whole screen, so we have so for each of the elements there exists some modifiers that you can use to modify. Like for example, with the image, there you can make this image resizable, and we can have call the aspect ratio to modify the aspect ratio. So you can either do fit or fill. So if we do fill, let's see the live preview. Okay, it's a little bit slow. So that's what fill looks like. It kind of fills up the whole screen, but it kind of leaves this top and bottom kind of area. So if you want to ignore the safe area, you can add another modifier called edges ignoring safe area. So you're ignoring .all, which is all the safe area. Otherwise you might only be ignoring like the top or the bottom or stuff like that. So here we filled up our whole image to fill up the entire frame. Or if we do a .fit, it's just gonna, let's see what the .fit does. So that's the actual ratio of the actual image. So it takes the actual whichever one will fit into the frame. So if the height is higher, or actually how to explain this. So like if this is the original image, so it's gonna fit the whole image right onto the screen. So if the whole image height was actually shorter than the width, it would fill up the whole screen with that, and it would kind of make it like less in the width, so that it fills up the entire screen. So that's the fit, where it doesn't cut off any part of the image. But if we do a fill, it's gonna fill up the entire screen, and it doesn't mind cutting off either the width or the height. So this one is a .fill. So it crops off some of the image, keeps the aspect ratio, and it fills up the entire screen. So that's that. But I guess we don't really need to understand this for now, since it's just a HelloWorld tutorial. So let's add something else on top of the text. Let's say we want to add a button. We can put the button right underneath the text. So let's add a VStack. So VStack is gonna allow you to put things vertically on top of another. So we're gonna put the text in a VStack, and we're gonna add a button. Let's say we do a button. Button has use this one. It lets you put a title and an action following that. So the title, let's just call it tap me. And the action, what should the action do? Let's see the action. Alright, let's have a state variable in order to change this text to be dynamic. So when we tap it, we're gonna change this text. So let's work on that. So we're gonna call at state, and then we're gonna have a private variable called label text. Label text is just gonna be right now hello world with an exclamation point. So here, instead of this static text, we're gonna change it so that it displays the label text, instead. Label text. All right, and the button that taps me. So when we tap it, we're just gonna change the label text. Label text equals, let's say let's run this and see how it works. Okay, so here's a button that says tap me, the cat in the background, I think this says hello world. So if we click tap me, now it changes the text to tap. And so SwiftUI is basically a way of doing the programming using like declarative programming. So it tries to, if you ever worked with like RX Swift or reactive Swift, something that kind of like has binding. So when you modify something, everything in the app changes without you having to keep like various states or keep a lot of modifications. So it's big on like it's one source of truth kind of thing, so that once you modify something, everything that's associated with that also gets modified. So here, even though we've clicked label text tapped, but now once we tap it, we can't really change it back. So let's add like a text field in order to for us to be able to modify this this text in the text label. So we'll just call this text field, and for our text field, we're just gonna have a placeholder called enter text. So we're gonna modify label text. So that's that. We're gonna add foreground color to be white also. All right, let's oops, let's see what's going on. VStack, text field. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, there. Text field with the text, label text. Okay, let's build this one. Is there a text on here? Text field, enter text. Did it not get added to this? Let's see. Try again. Okay, it didn't get added. Let me see what's going on. So VStack, text field, text, foreground color. Hold on. Where's our text field? Let me add it underneath the button, see if that helps or not. Text field. Alright, we're gonna have title, text, title, we're gonna say enter text. For the text, we're gonna bind it to $, label text. So that means whatever text is entered in the text field, we're gonna modify this label called label text. So is this also in a VStack? It's also in a VStack, so it should be right below the button for now. We're gonna move it later. Alright, let's run this on our simulator. Oh, here's our text view. The thing just, the keyboard or the preview just didn't show up. But I'm typing something here and it's modifying the text as we go. Actually, let's add a background so we can actually see. Background color dot red. Alright. So if we add a red background, and then we're gonna run this again on our application. Hopefully this will let us see the background of the text view. Alright, so here's our text field. We tap it here. So we type something and it modifies it. But now when I hit tap me, we change the label to tap, or when we type something again, it modifies this this label text. It modifies this label text, and this text updates right away. Because once this label text is updated, it changes right away. So once you hit tap me, it changes to tap again. So if you want it to change, if you want the label to change only on a button tap, you can have it where you can have it where you add a different state. We're gonna have another private variable called my text, and we're gonna have an empty string in here. So once the text field is here, let's put the text field on top. Text field on top. So now we have that text field there. So what are we gonna do with my text? So my text is gonna be modified by the, let's say my text will be modified by when the text field types my text. So when you type something, my text will be modified, and once you hit tab, we're gonna assign my text to label text, and then this label text will get updated only when the button is tapped. So this way, if you somehow don't want the dynamic update on the label, you can wait until the button is tapped before you update that text from the text field. So you have this text field here. Let's say you type in I just don't know. Okay, I mean it doesn't show up, but let's say you hit tap me. Now it says I just don't know. But let me make this font appear on the text field. Let's say font, is it foreground color? Foreground color, let's just say dot green, or let's just call it green, because the text that I'm typing is not really showing up, and I think it would be nicer if we can actually see what is being typed right now. So let's run this. There's that. Why is it not showing up? Very interesting. How about foreground color is white? Or let me remove the cat image for now and see if it actually shows up. Foreground color is blue. Let's run it and see what happens. Alright, so here's some sort of gray text that we have saying enter text. Maybe the color was just too closely related to the cat. Alright, so we have, it's hard to read. Let's just call it white. Let's try the live preview and see if that kind of shows us what we're expecting. Alright, so here's a red label called enter text. So let's say we don't have the background. Update, so it says enter text here, but when I put a cat image, we just don't see it. Wonder why. Let's see, put a cat image, do a live preview, and we don't see the enter text. Wonder why. is the color overtaking it? I'm not sure, but I guess for now let's hide the cat image so we can actually see the text field that says enter text. Oh, I think I know what was going on. All right. Oh, I'm also learning SwiftUI, so I think I know what's going on. I think once we put the text field there, once we hit enter text, you see how it starts off at the left. I think when we had the cat image, it like if you remember that when we had the cat image, and let's say we do this and we run the application, when the text field becomes first responder, I notice how everything shifted to the left, and when it resigns first responder, everything shifts to the right. So let's say we do this, or find the text field. Here's our text field. You notice how everything shifts to the left. I wonder if it's because everything is actually to the left. So if we change the aspect ratio instead of fill, if we do it to be fit, I wonder if that will fix the issue, or if we can have some sort of static, or maybe if we move the text field like to the middle instead, maybe that might fix it. Okay, so here I see a little bit of thing saying enter text now. Alright, let's change the background color to red again, and forgot what I was gonna do. Alright, let's just put the text field in the middle. So we're gonna do multi-line text alignment, and we're just gonna align it to center. So that way it shouldn't really matter now that its aspect ratio is fill. So let's see if this is the case. Alright, hey, it worked. So we have this thing called enter text hello world, so we tap enter text here. Now we type something, now it actually shows up. So let's just keep it here for now. Well, it still went to the left because of the thing that we were talking about. So let's just call this fit, so we don't see that. We'll update the live preview so we don't see that little scrolling of the image as we go. So let's make sure the live preview shows up. So I'm expecting to see a cat here. Yep, that's what I was expecting to see. So we're gonna run this in the simulator and see that we're seeing the same thing. Oh, okay. Alright, so here's our text field. Enter some text. This one doesn't update because this variable is binded to label text, but when we're updating the text field, it's actually updating my text. So my text doesn't actually get assigned to label text until we hit tap me. So once we hit tap me, then that gets modified. So again, we modify this and then we hit tap me, and then that gets modified. So if you wanted to do it where you don't see the changes being reflected right away, you can do that sort of thing. And so let's see, what else can we do, or what else should we do here? So we have button, we have text field. I guess we don't need the button anymore if we're gonna do it where it's gonna bind it to, let's say we're binding it to label text. So now if we remove the button and we just have a text field, when we type something, it's just gonna show up right away in our text. And I guess I can show some other various modifiers in the text. So let's say in text, we also have we can also modify the background, which we already did. We can modify the foreground, we can modify the padding, we can modify the font. Let's just call it headline. So when we modify the font, it's gonna update this font to be headline font as opposed to just the regular font. It's still generating the preview. So now the font updates, and I guess that's it for this tutorial. You saw how to put an image on the view. You saw how to use the ZStack, which is the elements stacking on top of each other depth wise, and you saw how to use the VStack, which is elements stacked on top of each other vertically. I guess we haven't seen the HStack. All right, let's just add the HStack and see how that works too. All right, let's have another label in the HStack. So we have a text field on the top, and then we're gonna add a HStack. So we're gonna move. Actually, let's just have it right underneath the text. Guess we can put the button back. All right, so it will be underneath the button. So we have a HStack. Let's say our HStack has a text element. Let's just call it t text1, and then we'll have another text element called text2. So see our preview. So we haven't modified the text1 and text2 padding or anything at all. A little bit hard to see. So again, with HStack, so with text1, let's just modify the background color to be color dot what other color is there? Green. And the other one, background, to be color dot purple. All right, so we'll see a preview. There's the HStack preview, and if we want to add more padding, we can add it. Let's say we want to add it from the button so that there's more spacing between the button and these two elements. Button, can we say padding there? Looks like we can. Edges, you can do all, or you can specify if you just want like the bottom. Let's say we want like 30 spaces in between. All right, so there's the updated look of the UI, which is all the elements are there, the buttons there with 30 spaces between the button and the bottom element. And the bottom element is a HStack, which contains two texts. And if we want to add some more padding between here, we can add padding. So edges, we can just do so this is the first one. We can do trailing. Let's say we want to add 40 spaces, and save. So it's generating a preview. So now we have 40 spaces here between the element 1 and element 2. And so we saw the 3 types of stacks that exist in SwiftUI: the ZStack regarding depth, the VStack regarding one element above or below another, and the HStack, which is one element right stacked horizontally next to each other. So that's it for this Hello World tutorial. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.